Hello, this is Adam from Wax Pack Gods. I hope you're doing well. Like just about everybody else in the hobby and everybody else around, I'm kind of stuck inside these days, or stuck at home at least. So I'm going through a bunch of my old cards, and one of the things that I found here that I haven't seen for a while is this album that has a complete set, or a near complete set, as you'll see, of 1984 Topps football cards in it. And I thought it might be fun to kind of have a little bit of a Friday night football. It's Friday night when I'm recording this, at least. A little bit of a virtual baseball card show, or football card show, as it were. I thought we'd look into these guys a little bit. Let me get them lined up. Probably be a little glare, but it'll be alright. So I have one interesting hole in this set, and I think it's probably because a card, or a couple of cards, kind of fell out during a move. I've moved quite a bit over the years, not so much recently, but the set started off with Eric Dickerson. During this time, Dickerson was just a complete beast. It was amazing the yards he was racking up even as a rookie, and then later on, of course, he set the single season record. We had Ali Haji Sheik, Franco Harris, and I think we're missing Mark Mosley here, and on the other side with the Colt to be Chris Hinton, and that may have actually been his rookie card. Oh well, it's around somewhere, or the both of them are around somewhere. Riggins, John Stenerud, and then we've got the playoff cards from '83. So the Raiders beat the Seahawks in the '83 AFC Championship, and the Redskins beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship, and then the Raiders took care of the Redskins in the Super Bowl, thanks in large part to Marcus Allen. Okay, and so here we have kind of the Colts team page minus the Chris Hinton. These are just as the Colts are coming over to Indianapolis after they left Baltimore. Okay, here's the Buffalo Bills, Joe Ferguson, who also happened to be a baseball player. Of course, it was a different Joe Ferguson, but that always kind of confused me. More Bills, and here's some Bengals. I remember these Bengals well. Chris Collinsworth, Ken Anderson, and Anderson in action. Collinsworth again, and in action. Isaac Curtis, Pete Johnson, big old fullback. Max Montoya, Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz, of course, at tackle. And we got the Cleveland Browns. Bunch of guys I know probably don't remember much of. There's Bob Golick, though. That's Mike's brother. Clay Matthews, one of the many Matthews in the league over the years. Ozzie Newsome, and then we got Mike Pruitt, who I think was the second Pruitt that the Browns had in the backfield. First was Greg. They kind of daisy-chained off of each other, Greg in the late 70s, Pruitt or Mike in the early 80s. I don't believe they were related. I could be wrong about that. And of course here then are the Broncos, and one of the big cards from the set is Elway. So these cards haven't been out of the pages here in however long I've had this set, 30 years or so. That Elway looks pretty good. You know, not a 10 or anything, but definitely not graded. I think you can buy sets like this on eBay for $50 to $100 or so. Pretty nice looking Elway rookie though. More of the Broncos here. Sammy Winder, Tim Smith, okay. Some Oilers, Carl Roaches. And we got some Chiefs. All right. Gary Green, a Pro Bowler. Bill Kinney, Nick Lowry, some names from the past. Art Still. Then here are the champion Raiders and young Marcus Allen. I think that's his second year card there. Lyle Alzado, still in action. Chris Barr, Malcolm Barnwell, Cliff Branch, Todd Christensen. Some great players there. Ray Guy, Frank Hawkins, Lester Hayes, Ted Hendricks. Man, what a team, huh? Howie Long, Jim Plunkett, of course. There's Greg Pruitt. I kind of forgotten that he went to the Raiders. Okay, now we're with the Dolphins, and so we'll see another one of the big rookie cards from this set here in a minute. There's A.J. Dewey, and then he started going by Dewey. There's Mark Duper, Andre Franklin, William Judson, and there's one of the other big rookie cards in this set, the Dan Marino card, and the Marino in action. So those Dolphins teams were no slouches in those days. And here are the Patriots. And the Patriots, a year after this set came out, would make it to the Super Bowl against the 85 Bears. Didn't turn out so well for the Patriots that year, but things did turn out well for them in the, starting 20 years later or so with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So Steve Grogan, John Hanna, so still some good players here. Andre Tippett, okay, the Jets. There's Wesley Walker, was the leader as a receiver. Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, Freeman McNeil. So some good players all throughout the league, it seems like. I grew up watching these guys. The Steelers always were solid. There's Franco Harris, racked up 1,007 yards in '83. There's Terry Bradshaw, still going at this point. Jack Lambert, Donnie Shell, Mike Webster, and those guns of his. All right. The Chargers always had the big offenses. Gotta love the kicker names. Rolf Benirski, James Brooks at running back, Wes Chandler, one of the wide receivers, Dan Fouts, Charlie Joyner. All these guys lit it up. Chuck Muncie at running back, Kellen Winslow, tight end, kind of helped redefine the tight end position. He was a good receiver as well as being the physical tight end. Okay, here we have the Seahawks, who went all the way to the AFC Championship game on the back of Kurt Warner, largely, who ran for 1,449 yards. Different Kurt Warner than the one who led the Rams to the Super Bowl, right? Okay. Dave Craig, Steve Largent, the great Steve Largent, one of the great receivers of all time. Jeff West, Charlie Young, and here we have passing leaders, all the league leaders, so big names, Dan Marino and Steve Bartkowski, okay, sort of big names. Receiving leaders, Todd Christensen, who would have thought he was the receiving leader in '83. And we got Kurt Warner and Eric Dickerson as the rushing leaders. Gary Anderson and Mark Mosley, of course, kickers always leading in scoring, it seems like. Interception leaders, V. McElroy, Ken Riley, Mark Murphy. Punting leaders, Rich Camarillo, Greg Coleman. And here we have some Falcons. So we had William Andrews, who went for 1,557 yards. You don't hear too much about him anymore, but he was stellar and a star there for the Falcons. Gerald Riggs was a star for a while, and here's my Bears. There's Sweetness, Walter Payton, who led the team with 1,421 yards rushing. Surprise. All-world receiver, Willie Gault, Leslie Frazier. So you start to see some of the guys that figured prominently in the Bears' championship run the following season. Noah Jackson, Jim McMahon, of course, with the headband. There's Sweetness, Walter Payton, and again, Mike Richardson, Terry Schmidt, Mike Singletary, Hall of Famer, Matt Suey, Bob Thomas. Then we've got the Cowboys, always popular. And there's Tony Dorsett with 1,300 plus yards. And there's Dorsett, his base card and his in-action card. Drew Pearson. Danny White was the quarterback at that time. Raphael Septien, I always remember him from the Saturday Night Live skit about We Are the Kickers. Billy Sims leading the Lions in rushing with 1,040. The great Billy Sims kind of lost to history a little bit. I mean, of course, Barry Sanders is the greatest Lions running back of all time, at least in my opinion, and maybe top 2 or 3 ever. And so Sims kind of has to play second fiddle to Sanders and is a little bit forgotten. James Lofton was with the Packers at this time. John Jefferson. So they had some good receivers too. Great receivers, actually. Jan Stenerud. Lynn Dickey was their quarterback. I think he played till he was about 100. And then we've got the Rams here. Here's Eric Dickerson with 1,808 yards as a rookie. Just amazing. Nolan Cromwell. There's the Dickerson rookie. So another big-time rookie card from this set. And there he is, his instant replay rookie. Jack Youngblood. And here we've got Darren Nelson, who led the Vikings with 642 yards rushing. So the Vikings were... That's my dog. He's flapping his ears in the background. Anyway, the Vikings were maybe a little anemic, at least on their rushing attack these years. And these names probably don't jump out at you for the most part. Steve Dills, Benny Ricardo, John Swain, Darren Nelson. Probably remember Tommy Kramer. Then we've got some Saints. So we got some Saints here. Yeah, George Rogers, Richard Todd, who had been with the Jets earlier in the decade. Giants, Harry Carson, Pro Bowler there. Rob Carpenter, Ali Haji Sheik, Pro Bowl kicker, and who was a record setter, as you saw on the front. There's Mark Haynes, Dave Jennings, Phil Simms, LT, Lawrence Taylor, LT again, Brad Van Pelt, Butch Woolfolk. And then we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. That drab green of theirs always kind of depressed me. I don't know why. I kind of like the Oakland A's of the time. Anyway, Mike Quick, great football name, especially for a receiver. Harold Carmichael, great receiver. Then we got Jaws at quarterback, Ron Jaworski. Wilbert Montgomery as running back. There was Mike Quick down there again. The St. Louis Cardinals at the time, right? So we got Otis Anderson, the great Otis Anderson at 1,270 yards, who would have a career resurrection a few years later with the New York Giants when they won the Super Bowl. I think it was like 1990 season. Got some Pro Bowlers here: Carl Birdsong, Roy Green, Neil Lomax. I remember Neil Lomax, not a Pro Bowler. And we got the 49ers. Their leading receiver for the 49ers in 1983 was Dwight Clark, which is not surprising, but what is a little surprising is that he only had 840 yards. But we'll get some other big names here. Of course, Dwight Clark was on the receiving end of the catch, in quotes, that helped put the 49ers in their first Super Bowl. And we got Roger Craig, Fred Dean, Dwight Hicks, Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana. It's always a great day for a Joe Montana football card. Wendell Tyler, Ray Wershing, Eric Wright, some great names. They're great players, great times. Of course, this was the Jerry Rice days with the 49ers. And here are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their leading receiver had 769 yards. It was Kevin House. Hugh Green was a Pro Bowler for the Bucs. James Owen, Kevin House. A couple names here and there that you might remember. Leroy Selman at defensive end for sure. James Wilder as a running back. The Redskins were kind of bruisers back in the 80s. And here John Riggins had 1,347 yards rushing to lead the team. There's Charlie Brown. I'm sure he never got any jokes for that. Great Darrell Green, who played for a long time at cornerback. Joe Jacoby, Dexter Manley, sporting the mohawk there. Art Monk, who played for a long time too. Mark Mosley, kind of caught in between the 70s and 80s looks there. Mark Murphy, Mike Nelms. And rounding it out, we got Big John Riggins and Joe Theismann before the leg break that was heard around the world. And then we end things up with a few checklists. There we have it. The almost complete 1984 Topps football card set that I've had squirreled away for quite a while. Worth the trip down memory lane here on a shut-in Friday night. Hope you've enjoyed this video. And please continue to check out our channel. Like the video if you liked it. And subscribe if you liked it so you don't miss out on any other goodies that we have coming up. Thanks a lot.